where do we play, what's going to be the operator selection based on what map we play.
So we've got both Clubhouse and Consulate banned out for Mouse and SK. You'll see the bans will go very, very fast, setting us up with Coastline and Villa. Last two left. Villa's gone from SK, so we're going to go to Coastline. And it's always nice to be treated to a Coastline map, a map that is typically very attacker-sided. Usually the defense doesn't do as well as you'd anticipate, but of course operator bans really affect that. For example, if a mirror remains unbanned, it gives a lot more firepower to the defense and a lot better an opportunity for them to start winning defensive rounds outside of maybe just the kitchen downstairs, which is the site that we usually see being won. Now, all that said, there is a difference in the way the teams work, and then of course the operator bans, as we stated, make a huge difference. If you possibly lose one of the most integral parts of your attack, be that the Capitao of SK, for example, be that the Ying of Mouse, you can see the attackers losing a pretty critical asset to them, and the defense might just be able to win because the attack strats are not quite where they need to be with these operators taken out for those respective teams.
The border ban there from Mouse was a targeted ban against SK. The bank ban was a defensive ban. Mouse have not had the best track record on bank so far this season. SK, on the other hand, while they did lose border the very first play day, they also 6-2'd Evil Geniuses on border. So clearly they're very comfortable there. That was, of course, when we first started seeing the operator ban phase actually come into play in North America. SK were banning out Thermite on border, and Evil Geniuses just didn't really know what to do against that. So Mouse have decided they don't want to deal with any of that, and that ban makes a whole lot of sense. Also, they did play against SK on the 7th play day on bank. So getting rid of that, of course, makes a lot of sense. They lost 3-6. So it was a pretty strong defeat. Who's going to win this match? You tell us.
Literally, you tell us, because we're not going to watch it.
Yeah, we're actually going to be over there. Just not watch the match at all, pretend like we know what we're talking about when we're actually talking about it.
Yes.
SK 73%, 8% draw, and 19 for Mouse.
So similar to what we saw in the EGS SG match, except SK's got a little bit less results. SSG had a little bit more than Mouse does, so, you know, or rather, Mouse has a little bit more than SSG. So we'll see the way that it goes between these two teams. And I think you pointed it out very well for SK, is that they need to have a bit more flexibility because their attacking lineup usually looks very similar. It's very rote, it's very routine. Allowing SK to have a more flexible lineup, something that's going to be, you know, obviously very helpful for a team that has already been one of the most consistent in North America. You know, we've seen flexibility emerge from Mouse in particular, and Mouse has looked better because of it. You know, it used to be that if Vandal wasn't able to get the frags alongside Vertical and Hyper, then things could very quickly fall apart, especially if either Hyper or Vertical were having a bad day, and you put too much pressure on the support and anchor players. But now with Mouse, it's starting to trickle down, and it's not just so much a 1-2 kind of punch deal. We're seeing the rest of the team step up where need be, especially Beastly playing some more clutch plays now that he's not doing necessarily all of the shot calling where he was prior to them picking up England. Yeah, and England's going to be a big relief. I definitely agree. On the note of the map, we're looking at a situation where both teams are going to be very comfortable on Coastline. SK, a little bit less so. They did actually lose against Noble 2-6 earlier in the season. Wasn't that
on Coastline?
That was really early on.
It was week 2. So it was a while ago, but it was still a loss. They managed to get the 6-2 against Obey on Coastline as well, though. So that was, of course, week 6. That was a lot closer. However, Mouse have looked a lot stronger there. They 6-3'd Rogue on Coastline, and then later they managed to get a draw against Evil Geniuses of all teams. So this is definitely a map for Mouse. And as we load into it, they're going to be, I think, on their home turf. This is just one of those maps you don't want to bring them to, even if you're SK, even if you have familiarity with this map. And another thing, we were talking about the Valkyrie ban potential for Mouse, and how much SK rely on that information. That could possibly be something that Mouse choose to lean into. Automatically, they are going to ban out that Lion, something we've been seeing a lot of in Pro League recently. Yeah, Lion has been almost a default ban in basically every match since DreamHack Montreal was banned previously by Space Station Gaming, and will once again find himself sidelined here. It's funny because he wasn't always a must ban. It was almost always a hard breacher that needed to be banned and then somebody else. But
taking Lion off the board has definitely impacted the way a lot of teams play in particular. Joining Lion will be a ban of both Glaz and Echo from SK, so those will be their bans, and then mousesports' final ban will be Maestro. So no Echo and no Maestro, but that means Mira is on the board for Coastline.
It also means Valkyrie is still in play for SK in particular. So lots of information available, just less indirect denial. It's not the worst thing for any defensive team, but it is definitely going to be hard to hold out against those plants, especially considering SK is going to be able to bring that Capitao. Jarvis must be happy about the way these bans fleshed out. Blackbeard for Pojo Man going to be that 6th pick, although I don't think anyone was fooled that Pojo would be playing on Ashe. Valkyrie going to be a 6th pick off of Smoke. That's very interesting. You've got no indirect denial apart from C4. That's a very old school way to hold the site. However, on a site like Kitchen, I can't say that's a bad decision. Kitchen is a very direct site. And with C4, you're not going to have a lot of trouble if you want to deny a plant by delivery or the kitchen window or whatever the attackers are trying to isolate.
I mean, you do have the Pulse, but this is a weird site for a Pulse. I'm honestly astonished that we're not seeing a Mira come up here whatsoever on Kitchen. This is one of her strongest maps, bar none. It's almost as if the map was designed for her.
Crazy. Maybe they came out around the same season. Maybe a season apart, possibly.
It's within at least like a couple days of each other. You know, like it's gotta be. But, I mean, we'll see.
The point that Parker is trying to make, I agree.
They came out at the same time.
Yeah, they came. Okay, well, yes, they came out at the same time, but also this is a site that is also going to be very good for Mira. It does kind of depend on how you choose to set yourself up, but you've got a Castle in play. Castle can aid Mira so much on this site. For example, the Mira window facing towards delivery inside of Kitchen is very exposed to the west door that goes towards Sunrise Bar. But you could do two different things to fix that. One, you can put a Castle barricade on that door and give yourself at least a little bit of prompting if you are going to be pressured from that area. Two, you can roam by Sunrise, which is what most teams choose to do. Either way, though, SK is aware of the way this is being set up, and they are going to be pushing from that Sunrise Bar to try and pressure from the west side. I think a good call, to be sure.
Immediately, the Valkyrie camera is going to get spotted. And you see the Castle barricade will fall. Pojo playing through this wall that has been shot open inside of Sunrise. Will give him an angle all the way back by the shelving units inside of Kitchen, daring the member of Mouse who's positioned by that reinforcement to move. And that's England playing there.
So you could see that the line of sight Pojo has right now would potentially disable the Mira window inside of Kitchen. And I guess that's why Mouse has chosen not to bring Mira, but still, there's other places you could use those windows to even deny the push that SK is trying to employ right now. Mouse have rotated a few of their players back to site, but they still have a heavy presence of 3 players on that top floor. And SK has chosen to rotate their push somewhat. They were seemingly completely dedicated to a west side push, but now only Nyx remains on that west side. As he inches his way into sight, he actually might be able to pick up some free kills. The rotation has happened for Mouse. No one's watching his push. England will go down with relative ease. No second kill, though, for Nyx as Beastly shuts him down thanks to that alibi Prisma.
And Beastly's going to be completely cut off, playing over by the service entrance. He'll try to push into delivery. Pojo gets Diffuser down for free. Mint with a kill to pick off Poppy Vandal. And now Poj doing great amounts of work. Not only taking the Diffuser and planting it, but also getting the kill that's needed. Vertical from above has a great angle onto the Diffuser, but that's all he can really see and will likely have to jump through this big double window inside of the penthouse. But he'll be last one left. And if he jumps, he's almost certainly going to get picked off, as Houghton playing in delivery, or in security rather, will see Hyper, meaning that Vertical will have to go for the retake. And there's Houghton Cold just watching the hatch inside of main lobby. Vertical playing from above, running out of time, and we are only a couple seconds away from it being impossible for him to defuse, about to hit the point of no return, and there it is. So, whether SK gets to this kill, and they will, as Houghton gets the final 2 frags for his team, it was out of time no matter what for Mouse. Out of luck, out of time.
Yeah.
And there it is, a nice skeleton key kill that we see. It was actually Mouse, Poppy Vandal, getting a couple skeleton key kills at DreamHack Montreal, and SK will now pick up one themselves.
So that defense had so many glaring holes in it. There was a lot of, I mean, they were paying attention to the west side push until they noticed that SK were rotating off of it, but they didn't factor in the lurking Nyx. A huge mistake for mousesports, and it disrupted their entire hold. The one kill that Nyx was able to get was the Valkyrie playing in the immediate denial position for that delivery plant, and Pojo took he took everything. He took every advantage that was given to him and allowed and just walked into the delivery and planted the diffuser. I mean, there's not much more to say. It was just a bit of a 1-2 punch from SK. Mouse went down with relative ease.
I mean, did Nyx even like lurk? Because you called it a lurk, but he didn't.
Well, he just
didn't really
lingered.
Lurk. He just walked right in.
He lingered. No,
he just walked right in.
No, because here's the thing: the entire SK push rotated off of the west side, except for him. And then once Mouse had changed their defense, then Nyx was in the site.
You're absolutely right. For Nyx, it was indeed a west side story.
Why?
Why not?
That's like the third time you've used that one.
Second time. The first time I was talking about Oregon when they pushed in through Junk Tower, and I was like, would you call it a West Side story? And you were like, ha 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 ha. Canned laughter. You know, like when you're watching a sitcom and it's got subtitles on, and then the audience will laugh, and it will say on subtitles, it will say canned laughter, because everybody knows it's fake.
I never understood that that fake laughter behind the sitcoms.
Because if you don't know when to laugh, I mean, if it's not funny, you don't know when to laugh.
Do you think it was always fake? Were there no shows where it was?
No, there used to be studio audiences for sure.
Huh.
Absolutely. I mean, even like you look at some of the great shows. There's definitely studio audience there for a lot of these shows. Anyway, Mint on the window by main lobby stairs. He'll use 2 rounds of Xkaros, and looks like he was quite successful, but there might have missed. That is very confusing. It actually looks like 1 round of Xkaros might have missed as he was trying to. And now he'll miss his drone. A bad start for Kyle Lander.
But he has what he needs open, and that's the wall, the south-facing wall. I want to say there's a Nitro Cell from vertical downstairs, ready to deny any pushes from the north, though.
But you had a Valkyrie there. There could have been a free kill onto Nyx.
Well, I mean, they don't have to rush it.
It's not rush it. It's a free kill.
Would you say it's free, Parker?
Why do you do this?
Hey, you get to do yours, I get to do mine. It's free. It's free.
Nope.
So God, Parker.
Pojo inside a hall.
Not fair.
You'll get your puns. I promise.
All right. Well, you can see that Valkyrie has actually taken some damage. Hyper already down to about 25, and yeah, he's got to get rid of that C4 somehow, somewhere, if he wants to influence this round. Vertical also tucked away inside a bathroom, and Jarvis is the one applying so much pressure to them that they are cowering over in this corner right now.
Yeah, you've also
Houghton
got,
as well.
like you said, Houghton is there, and he'll be able to tear through that bathroom wall with his skeleton key quite easily, because he's got 19 rounds of it still remaining. So it's, along with the C8's ability to do counter-based destruction, it could possibly be very difficult. But look at, yet again, Nyx is just going to come right in, but he's going to miss to England. Oh man, they just don't have any coverage whatsoever, and they have a Valkyrie to possibly be relaying this information. The inability to use that C4 earlier in the round could possibly come back to haunt Mouse. And now the execute from Jarvis as he'll smoke off a beautiful hole that's been put into the wall there. Mint will get vertical, and you've now also got Hyper, who's going to try to retake, but he doesn't need to. There you go. Use the C4 of the Valkyrie. The pulse is down, so that'll be the only one, but Mint finding Vandal means that you're going to have to deal with what little is left of Hyper in England. This is very winnable for SK. Jarvis trying to go for a plant, and he'll have to go up top onto the bed, but he's very exposed. If they can capitalize on it, and there it is, Hyper getting the kill onto Jarvis. SK did not fully commit to the roam clear, and it comes back to bite them as Mouse pick up round number 2, and we'll draw even at 1-1.
That defense was not solid, but nor was the attack from SK. That was a little bit all over the place. A lot of it has to do with Hyper managing to stick it out downstairs, and as you said, SK failing entirely on clearing out the roamers downstairs. They had applied a lot of pressure. They put Hyper down to about 25 HP, but they couldn't finish him off, and they didn't dedicate themselves to doing so. Because of that, all the open up holes that were preemptively made by the defenders allowed for a pretty easy denial of the defuse plan, even after Jarvis had put himself on top of the master bed. It was unfortunate that the C4 came out when it did from Hyper as well for SK, because the plant was seemingly on its very last legs, and it looked like Pojoan was going to be able to get it down successfully. Hyper just narrowly managed to deny that defuse plant, and after that, it just all started falling apart for SK. They had to make too many changes and too many exposed rotations, and Mouse just took advantage of each and every one of them. Though there are, again, a lot of glaring holes in the defense, Mouse. Nyx on a crouch walk with Zofia is a scary friggin' thing, as is evident by those last 2 rounds.
Twice.
Will this happen a 3rd time?
He just creeps up and there's nobody watching whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, these are basic lanes too. It's not like he found some crazy wacky hole that's never been exploited before. No, it's just a very simple thing that you need to watch, but it's not being watched. Anyway.
Look at that. It sounds like the X-Caro's already being put to use on that main doorway into the lobby. And there you go. That's 1 round of the castle, or one of Castle's barricades used up by 1 round of the X-Caros. So Mint's still going to have 2 gadgets left to him, as no castle barricade over on that service door either, or the delivery door, mind you. Probably going to use those X-Caros, I would imagine, probably onto the wall that you see the smoke playing on England, who I don't know if he just got spotted by a drone. He's positioned where usually the mirror window would be tucked away in the corner just behind the first bomb inside of the service entrance, which is over by B. And look at that, England has rotated. I think he did probably spy the drone.
Yeah. Mint has been pretty liberal with his usage of the X-Caros, just kind of getting them out there and making sure they influence the round in one way or another. And that's a little bit uncommon, but I like it. It's a good mentality to just use your utility whenever you can, whether it be opening up castle barricades, getting that south wall over by projector, no matter what, just trying to apply as much pressure as possible. So an interesting mentality and a nice one from SK. Seems like they're committing fully to the west side push this time.
And there you have it, Nyx at this door yet again. He's gotten rid of the razor wire, so his position is not going to be hurt. He could possibly just creep right up again. And
I wonder if he's going to do this.
It's happening.
Again.
It's happening. Nyx is just walking right in. He's in the corner, could possibly even commit to a plant. Pojo's holding it. First kill is going to come from the alibi, a vertical. He'll take down the hard breacher. And look at that, but Nyx gets spotted. He gets beastly. England will trade it off. Nyx coming so close.
But he did it again.
But he did it again, and that's a C4. That will be squattered. You lose the pulse. That's such a valuable operator. Pojo has the diffuser at any moment. All he needs to do is kill England. If England will go through this hole, double duty, but Vandal, what a play to shut this down. Jarvis getting taken by the alibi, pinged away, trying to dare the smoke. Pojo will see him, he'll miss his shots, but I think he knows. Oh, he pulls out the deagle. Goodbye, England, and he'll have to go for a plant. Can he go for it over by the service shelving unit? Last man left is Jarvis. Only 30 seconds to go.
But he's cutting off rotation. This is beautiful. The last remaining defenders cannot rotate to deny Pojo Man's plant because of Jarvis's positioning. If he can continue to do this, all of the defenders are on the south side of the building. They have to cross Jarvis. The castle will be the first one to try, and Vandal will go down with relative ease. Jarvis's position given away, though, and Pojo's still on top of that diffuser. All he needs to do is wait! The last 2 defenders from the main lobby, and Jarvis with the triple kill! SK take the round, beautifully set up, and I gotta say, Nyx did it again 3 times.
They knew he was there, though. To be fair, the pulse picked it up on the heartbeat sensor and went for the C4, not expecting Nyx to push. The C4 would have been very well placed on a Nyx in the corner by the kitchen equipment. But I think Nyx peaked at the right time, and that's SK walking away with that one. And with the round, I am amazed that now 3 rounds in a row, Nyx has been able to just walk into the site. He could have planted, for crying out loud.
I like that SK didn't get ahead of themselves and try to plant before they had established actual full site control, because it was clearly, it was being broadcasted that Mouse were setting themselves up for a retake strategy. Now, it was pretty obvious. The main thing is that they did not reinforce the kitchen wall. When you don't reinforce the kitchen wall, it means you want to use the kitchen wall to deny plants inside a kitchen. And the fact that there were 3 roamers on the south side of the building for Mouse, it reinforces that fact even more, because from the south side, you can go into the open area and you can shoot through the kitchen wall to deny a plant in kitchen. So I appreciate that SK read into that and established that they needed, yes, we need to push all the way through A into B before we plant the diffuser. And they did just that, and they set up Jarvis in the perfect spot. After losing so much manpower, they only needed the planter and Jarvis to win the round.
And as you said, the way they had positioned Jarvis was brilliant. He was in probably the strongest position. Very, very difficult for Mouse to win that. The only way was if you have one peak to try and cover the other and get Jarvis as he's trying to take down both of them. But they were running out of time. That sounded like it was a frag grenade that was tossed there. Oh, you know what it probably was? It was probably the spent cartridges from the XKROs. You know how sometimes they do rattle?
Yeah.
Very similar. Then you hear an explosion, likely going to be one of Vandal's castle barricades, as Mint is able to take it in 30 seconds.
Mint has been using his XKROs really just proactively. He's already, he's used 2 of them already. So yeah, that was clearly what it was. Wow, Hyper going to eat some bullets here from Nyx early on. Not enough to kill Hyper, and we've seen Hyper do some amazing work with 20 to 30 HP before. So he's not out of the game yet, but that is some pressure being applied already to Mouse. This is a type of aggressive SK that I don't think I've seen before. It's kind of odd, but I like it. I like that SK are changing their play style actively to try and keep their opponents on their toes.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see the same thing unfold from Nyx yet again, as he's trying to figure out where Hyper is going. He sees one of the alibis, but yeah, 4 times in a row.
He's been getting that opening frag and then dying immediately, time after time. And he's looking to do so again, hopefully without the dying immediately part for his sake, but who knows? The setup, though, from Nyx will be followed up by Mint.
Vertical will trade that off right away, as Mint did get the very first kill, as you noted, but hot and out of action. Not just a good player for SK, but also the Buck has a lot of usage here, in particular on this kitchen site.
Ooh, Nyx missing some very important shots onto Vertical, and that's going to lose them the lead, but Mint with his second in the round, and it's immediately equalized. Back to a 3-on-3, or well, to a 3-on-3. Something weird is going on, and I think we might be going to a rehost. Just a hunch. Well, it looks like we're going to be popping back to us. Hello, how's it going? We'll figure out what's actually transpiring, and we'll get back into the match as soon as possible.
I looked up the game's symptoms, and it says that we may have internet connectivity issues. I stole that joke, by the way. It's not my own joke. I'm not that clever.
I don't know that reference.
It's from Parks and Recreation.
I've never watched it. You know, when I told him...
I physically can't move my chair any farther over.
When I told him that I
was
not
Don't say it.
A fan...
Don't say
it. Of The Office? He wouldn't talk to me for like 3 days. It was hilarious.
It still makes me upset.
It
still makes me mad.
I'm pretty sure he actively makes an effort to like pretend that's not a thing from me. I'm pretty sure.
I shut it out of my mind. I'm like surely no human that I happen to spend an excessive amount of time with would dislike The Office.
No, but it's true though. I mean, I just haven't been able to get past the first 15 episodes. I start watching it and I'm like,
this seems like such an arbitrary number. I can't do the first 15.
Honestly, I
can't do them.
I haven't counted to be.
The pilot was 6 episodes.
It is kind of arbitrary, yeah.
The pilot, like first season, like the pilot and then the 5 seasons, like it's good. Don't get me wrong, but then it's like you can't. The second and third seasons are so good, similar to this matchup that we're seeing here between SK Gaming and Mouse.
Got to get to season 2. I'll keep it in mind. SK Mouse.
If you're 15 episodes in, you're in season 2.
Dude, it was an arbitrary number. I don't remember how much I watched.
Doesn't even matter. It's not even on Netflix here.
Is it not?
It's not on Netflix here.
Really?
When Milos came back, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna watch The Office," and I was like, "Good luck. It's not on Netflix." He was like, "Sorry, what did you say?"
It's regional. It's regional, so it's just kind of unfortunate. But yeah, 2-1 right now for SK, and we don't necessarily know what happened that last round. So
yeah, it looked like there was in the top right hand corner there was the little red like electrical plug, which suggests that the connection had an error, and that's usually what happens. And so I mean it looked like we are just waiting to hear a possible update as to whether the game is still being played, or whether the teams stopped playing, or whether they crashed as well. We don't really know yet. So we can do a couple things. We can head into a debrief of the 4 or 3.5 rounds.
We can speculate.
Mint was in a great position, got 2 kills, equalized it 3-3. Still had your hard breach alive. Kitchen had been defended for the 3rd time, every single time. Thus far, unsuccessful for Mouse. Are we going to see that possibly happen again? We don't know. The only successful defense they had was on Penthouse, and they did so without a Mira. Now, this is one of Mira's better maps. She can make half of these sites very, very viable, especially that Penthouse Theater map in particular. She's really crucial on. I am a little surprised that we haven't seen Mouse run a Mira whatsoever, but they've only got one more crack at defense after the round we just saw. All that said, we're going to toss to a break, and we'll be back in just a minute. Stay tuned.
Stylish on the outside, savage on the inside. Legion by Lenovo.
Welcome back, everybody, to an exciting matchup between both Mouse and SK Gaming. Now, there were a bit of connection issues that interrupted our fourth round, but we have an update for you. It was won by Mouse, so we are all tied up at 2 apiece. And most importantly, Mouse finally won the coveted kitchen defense. This will be the final round of Mouse's stint on defense. They'd won Penthouse Theater in the second round, and because it is the fifth, it's back unlocked again.
So, a site that they didn't really struggle at all with. The most interesting thing for me about when they were defending Penthouse was that their south wall into projector got opened up very early into the round by Mint. And despite that pressure that they were feeling from the south side, they had actually a pretty easy-going hold. The biggest flaw in that hold, however, was, of course, Nyx walking through L and just shooting defenders in the side inside a projector, and he was able to do a lot of damage. And it seemed like because of that damage, SK was going to be able to get the defuse plant with relative ease under cover of smoke. However, Hyper left his own devices downstairs with so little HP, but still a C4 in hand, managed to deny the defuse plant not once, but twice. And because of that, Mouse managed to get the round. Now, you can imagine that SK are going to put some things into motion this round to deny that play downstairs, or they're going to position themselves better to not have to worry about the downstairs play. Whatever the case be, it's something that they're thinking about now. And I'm sure it won't trip them up as much because of that. However, it's, of course, then going to be likely that Mouse will make some changes as well in response. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm sure it'll be much different than what we saw the first time.
They finally brought a Mira. I think they realized that she wasn't banned.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Very important operator, that.
Yes, and I mean, this is how you're going to see her get used, though. I mean, it's been a while, honestly, since we've seen Mira on most of these maps, so how Mira is able to impact the meta is very interesting, because I'm sure a lot of teams probably don't bring her. I mean, that's pretty commonplace, actually. It looked like England might have taken a bullet or two through the wall here of Hot and Cold as he just sprayed through that window, but hard to tell, as the Smoke is the only person who has lost any bit of their HP.
Not much damage, even if it was a shot. No matter what, you're going to be in a fine position there. The Miras are, well, of course, put on the normal walls. Kind of interesting that there's a double reinforced situation going on there. Usually you'll see one mirror window on a half broken wall and the other one on a reinforced wall, but here you got the double. It's not really going to matter terribly, but it's definitely a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. The indirect denial options here are C4 from below times 2, C4 from in front, and gas canisters, and possibly another C4, although I seriously doubt that they have brought 4. I feel like 3 is just the right number. VIP pressure from SK already, and you can see that vertical on that Pulse is starting to call that out to his team. So the information is definitely flowing from Mouse. They've got the Pulse and the Valkyrie and the Mira. They're well aware of what SK is choosing to pressure.
This is the same spot that Vandal's playing in right now that we had originally seen Hyper playing on when he was the Jaeger just by the main lobby stairs. It's a good position to be in. You can possibly get some good coverage there on luggage. England, who'd taken some damage in the start of the round, will be finished off by a grenade from Hot and expertly tossed. You can see there's no Jaeger on the board for Mouse.
I would like to mention that apparently I spoke too soon. They do have 4 C4s here.
Yeah, there you go. So
they brought them all.
They did. They did indeed bring them all. They're going to forego a lot of barbed wire than just having the Smoke be the only one. Hyper positioned to possibly greet somebody inside a blue bar as he's by that electrical, or by that gas range rather, and he will find Mint as the lone hard breacher of SK tries to wander towards Cool Vibe stairs. Smokes and execute going down from Jarvis as he'll hit those asphyxiating bolts. results, and Pojo will try to flash behind the mirror window of the Bandit and swing in and possibly go for the plant. Now, mind you, you said there is 4 C4s on the board. One will be silenced as Nyx is there to take out Hyper. Double stacked inside a bathroom. This is a dangerous position for SK. Only 15 seconds left, and one of these two teams will walk away with the lead after the first half. Oh no, Nyx will miss his shot. Vertical will win the duel. Beastly, a great C4, leaving just Jarvis and Pojo man left. Very exposed as Pojo through the ground. Jarvis will need to clutch in a 1v2, but he's all out of time, and Mouse will actually take the defense here. 3-2 on Coastline. Not something you see every day.
No, certainly not. We talked about this at the beginning, though. Mouse are so comfortable on this map, and seeing them win the defensive half, while it is shocking, again, on the baseline, I think this is something that we can expect from Mouse as a team. SK seemingly struggling to deal with that round. Again, because the interesting thing is here, Maestro and Echo are both banned. So what does that force you to do as a defender? It forces you to seek out other forms of indirect denial, other ways of preventing the diffuser from being planted. So what are your options there? Well, you have smoke with those gas canisters, and then you have your C4s, and they did bring all of them, and they made good use of them. They even had them in excess in that round. A big part of that round, though, apart from the actual C4s, had to be Hyper. His excellent play of the pulse downstairs. He called out so much for his team, and because of that, it allowed for full knowledge on the SK push, and more importantly, he defended himself when he was being pressured by the attackers downstairs. Usually you see a Pulse get a little bit flustered when he's got his heartbeat detector out, he's being attacked horizontally, he doesn't have any teammates to support him, and you'll see that go in the favor of the attacker, but in fact not the case for Hyper.
So you'll have Hot and Cold go onto this Valkyrie. As we mentioned earlier, both he and Jarvis can flex onto the role if need be, but now Jarvis will play the Pulse to give information where you have it. Keep in mind that SK will usually run an Echo or a Maestro, with that being Nyx's main operator, and I think we've seen Nyx play Mira as well in the odd chance that Mira remains unbanned. So he's gonna be running on a roamer this time around on the Jaeger, and you're probably gonna have, I would imagine, Hotten and Pojo play on site because Mint is currently off site, situated down by service, and you're likely gonna have Jarvis giving intel from below.
Mint's got an interesting position there. You can see he's just trying to avoid drones as much as possible, and potentially come for a late flank. If his teammates are being pressured from VIP, this could be a really great position. But if Mouse or Throw in their roam clear, then it also could be a really terrible position. It really depends on Mouse's droning, whether or not they choose to go and commit themselves to a full roam clear. But it looks like they might just be pushing in through the south balcony into Aquarium. Jarvis is going to call this out, however. We've seen a lot of We've seen a lot of balls being relevant on Coastline, and Jarvis is going to make it even more so. He's going to really drive that one home. Nice kill onto Vandal, and the Ying goes down.
Yeah, the Ying being gone in particular is very crucial for SK, because that Ying can just do so much trouble, or cause so much trouble to your site players, or even possibly to try and pinch out a roamer. Saw the Claymore get put down there by the Ying, and I think that was Jarvis trying to take it out and have to maybe go for a run out here with England as the Hibana from above. But Jarvis just seems to be, for the time being, really disinterested in taking an engagement, and Mouse in particular right now, as England is very far off, and they're, I don't know if they're just simply waiting or what, but this could possibly be an easy jump out for Jarvis, who I think is more valuable alive than he is dead, even if he does know that the Hibana is very slowly encroaching upon him. Pulling out the bearing 9, England will toss in one flash, and Jarvis trying to get information, but look at that, Nyx is able to get England before Vert is there to trade it off. So Jarvis just relaying information to the player from above as we hit the final minute. Mouse down 2, and 2 incredibly crucial tools in both the Hibana as well as the Ying.
Vertical nearly getting a kill there through the pre-made holes from the defenders, but not to be, it seems. He will retrieve the diffuser from his down teammate and start his ascent to the Aquarium balcony. It does not look like actually the defenders have fallen off for the most part. There is still Nyx behind the minibar, but Aquarium is not as stalwartly defended as it once was. Still some good positions here from Mint. He's managed to keep himself at the top of the main lobby stairs.
And he can greet Hyper depending on how this works out, but Hyper just looks the wrong way. Great reaction from Mint to get that kill, and Mouse will have to hustle. Vertical's going to have Nyx waiting for him behind that bar, as you said. All the Jaeger needs to do is pop up as Mint will pick up his second kill, and there you have it. Nyx through the plates on the bar will get the final kill for SK, and they'll equalize. With this being a very defender-sided matchup so far is not exactly something that we have seen on Coastline, as I mentioned. Interesting, especially on Hookah, which is a site that sees the least amount of play here on Coastline.
I want to say Coastline's been a lot more back and forth with the sides. I mean, we saw, for example, in that Rogue EG match on Coastline, it was actually about even between attackers and defenders. We saw that just a while ago. So there seems to be a bit of a changing in the winds for Coastline as to the side, preference. It still does lean towards attackers, in my opinion, and I think the design of the map will keep it that way probably forever, unless we get another DLC where it's heavily defensive sided. That could happen again. Of course, the one that pops into mind most immediately would be like either Ella or Mira, but I don't think that's going to be enough to change the way this map plays. Either way, though, defense has started to find its groove on this map, and it's started to be a less detrimental half for whoever chooses to go into, or not chooses, but whoever has to defend.
Right. So SK's second defense coming downstairs to Kitchen. Unsurprising. Once again, no Mira being trotted out. We've gone through 7 rounds now, and she's only appeared 1 time, which is a bit perplexing, but we've also seen this on Consulate. Last time around that Mira was unbanned on Consulate, she was only played a couple times. That was from Rogue, who had her in the hands of Easily. And I honestly think, if you talk to these teams, a big reason behind that is just simply because a lot of teams don't practice with her in their strats because they assume she's going to be banned. That,
and I gotta be honest, sometimes having a Mira window that's broken is so much worse than having no Mira at all. And you could see, Mouse right now, they're running a Twitch. And if there is a Mira, there's a high likelihood that Mira window will be opened by the Twitch drones. And Twitch as an operator has been seeing a decent chunk of play, not a crazy high amount, but still a decent chunk. And just because, Twitch is a great operator outside of her ability to destroy Mira windows. You've got that F2. It's absolutely lethal. As an operator, or as a player, you got to be very comfortable.
Yeah, two rounds in a row for Beastly playing the Twitch, and the Jaeger playing by the door will be able to get one of Beastly's drones, but I think he's going to realize that maybe that position isn't the safest to play. There is an angle that Nyx could possibly get on the Twitch situated there as Beastly goes onto his second drone, but no, he's just going to commit to it fully, leaving Nyx sitting inside of Penthouse, I think largely undiscovered. Mouse have control of Sunrise Bar as well as Blue Bar, as Hyper and Vertical sit themselves in either. In England, at the bottom of Cool Vibe Stairs by the main door. Vandal will join in. So that's 4 members of Mouse, all of whom are just sitting by the doorway to Kitchen on the west side of the map. You're leaving Beastly off-site. He's still out on that hookah balcony. There's 2 members of SK up there, and I think that Nyx sees him ever so little, but Nyx is going to have Mint as well. You can hear both the F2 as well as the Scorpion go off. This could be a very successful pinch right now. The execute could be happening at any moment. I think there you have it. Nyx sees the back of Beastly, but cannot land the shots. Mint will need to run out, but there's a Claymore in the way. Both members of SK will now double up, and I think just trying to scare off the Twitch. And Beastly will be rewarded with a kill. It seemed like a very easy situation for SK to walk away with one in the bag, but they're not going to get it. Mint losing a lot of his HP. That Claymore is going to be a huge impediment for him as well.
England will take out Jarvis as Houghton eliminates Hyper. Mint still wondering about his place in the universe outside of that north balcony. And here comes the actual site push as the last 25 seconds come into play. Houghton gets his second for the round, and he's going for another one. He will get a third, holding firm in the shelf unit and that A site. But a fourth for Houghton, going for the ace. It's just down to Beastly, but Mint will get that final kill. SK take the defense thanks to Hot and Cold playing in the shelf inside of A, just all the way down to the pistol, able to tear apart his opponents.
The Deagle of all weapons as well, which did see a bit of a change a couple patches ago with its visual recoil being toned down an awful lot and becoming a more threatening weapon for both Blackbeard and Valkyrie to wield, which I think it really needed. It was in a pretty lousy spot prior to that. But this also happens to be one of Hotten's best maps, up there with Cafe Dostoevsky, which we used to see him absolutely take over, but of course it's out of the map pool. So Coastline seems to become one of the few maps where Matthew Stevens, Hot and Cold himself, thrives upon. Mouse did have a very good opportunity to possibly win that round, especially after that early pick they got with Beastly, but they just became victims of time more than anything.
Yeah. On the Hotten note, there are just certain maps you do not bring Hotten to. Cafe was the map, like you talked about. He tends to pop off on one map in particular from time to time, right? I guess like you said, it's Coastline. But yes, touching on the actual attack strategy there, like you said, very slow. The push from the west side was just a little bit too belated. Also, the pressure on the north balcony, while SK, in my opinion, kind of fumbled that one, it did waste a lot of time, and that's very important to take away. So, props to SK, delaying the push on the roam. I'm not really sure what Mouse was trying to accomplish in that attack round. It seemed like they were a little bit confused, and their actual site push came with 25 seconds when they decided to try and pressure the site. And all the while, seemingly nobody called out that Hotten was playing by shells. Because the thing about that position that Hotten was in, there is no real hard cover. When you are in that spot, you're very much exposed. As soon as the attackers cross the threshold of the doorway to kitchen, you're basically in their line of fire. So that was a very dangerous position for Hotten to play, and he somehow got away with it. That should not have been allowed to happen.
No, absolutely. And one of the struggles that Mouse have really had is that they always seem to be looking in the wrong direction. They're just always unaware of what's going on around them, especially on defense. When we saw those times where, you know, Nyx can just walk right in and get a free kill, it looked like there was zero situational awareness there from Mouse on a lot of instances.
You think it's a possible communication error, just internally their comms not really working out right now?
I will tell you that over the last couple weeks, Mouse's coordination has been much superior to where it was a couple months back, and I think a lot of that speaks to the fact that they now have a stronger IGLing system than they had previously. But yeah, I do very much think that they're still trying to iron out a lot of those issues they have with coordination. Mint's going to get droned out in kitchen and is in a very bad spot here. He's going to rely on Nyx, who's walking up through the bathroom to possibly try and get hyper. It's the IQ at the service doorway. Meanwhile, Mouse have managed to get into the front foyer of Sunrise, which is where the bomb is situated, or the bombs rather, as we are defending the double bar for SK. First kill's going to go to Nyx onto Hyper. As I'd mentioned, that was the IQ that was playing over by service. He was once again basically split pushing off site. And, well, he's going to be the very first casualty. We'll see if Hotten can pick up 5 kills in 2 rounds, as he's going to get the Hibana. Pojo is there as well. Jarvis and Hotten with a kill each. It's all up to Beastly. Last man standing. He'll get hurt with a Gizmat mine as he jumps in through the kitchen window, and Mint getting onto Beastly. I don't know if Jarvis picked up a kill there, but that could possibly be a team ace for SK as they're going to move to match point.
Whatever the case, it was an extremely dominant round, whether it was all team inclusive or just the 4 of them. No matter what, SK looking incredibly strong here on Coastline. Mouse seemed to have a little bit of a streak going towards the end of the first half, where they ended actually 3-2 in their favor, but it has, as a result of the half switch, shifted entirely in SK's favor. They seem completely dominant on defense. And I think, again, this is kind of telling of how Coastline is starting to become a little bit more of a mixed bag. You know, you can't just say the attackers are going to win all the time. It used to be like that for such a long time. I think it's teams starting to figure out how Coastline really works. It also used to be the case, of course, that Coastline was a map that nobody liked to go to. And now, lots of people are comfortable playing here. In fact, I think the entire league is comfortable playing here. There are very few teams that are not adept at Coastline at this point.
Yeah. And like we said, it has one of the highest pick rates.
Yeah.
It has one of the highest pick rates out of every single map in Pro League for good reason. It's one of those maps that I think just took a while for people to realize the ebb and flow of the map, similar to Border. Border was a big one. I remember that a lot of teams looked upon Border negatively when it first started out. A lot of teams didn't really liking the...
A lot of people thought it was abhorrently bad. I mean, and I think it was stemmed off of Yacht being such a bad map.
Yes, and I mean, I think that as well, Border, you know, a couple teams that I had spoken with, because I wasn't as active in the scene. In fact, I actually didn't start playing this game until the release of Skyscraper, so I mean, I wasn't around until Red Crow. So Border was 2 seasons before that, as you had Favela afterwards. A lot of teams that I talked to when Border first came out, number one, it's worth noting, the frame performance on Border was awful when it first came out. It was it along with Favela were 2 maps that would just tank your frames. And that obviously definitely factored into it. That's obviously been cleaned up since then.
It was also the lighting. This was pre-lighting fix. For those of you who didn't play, the lighting in this game used to be atrocious, and the Border was especially bad.
Now, you see downstairs, Jarvis still playing inside of the office. He's got both England and Vandal with him, and Vandal watching that doorway. You've now got 2 members actually watching that doorway, but on what is a match point situation for SK, they will blow things open as Vertical, the Maverick, is going to be taken out with a C4 being tossed from Houghton, who has really been the former part of his name over this last half.
He's definitely hot right now. You're absolutely right. Nyx behind the minibar in Aqua, holding on to 2 Mouse players as they attempt to push their way through this south balcony. This is not an easy push, and all Nyx needs to do here is wait. If he just continues to do that, well, it's time wasted for Mouse yet again.
Nyx could possibly be set up to be a dead man, though, especially with Hyper now coming in through luggage. The ADS is going to burn 2 of those, but there you go. Hyper in luggage will manage to get Nyx. I don't think he was anticipating that 3-pronged attack, though Pojo did try to give him a bit of cover, tossing the Toxic Babe into the doorway. That was leading out to that balcony. It's going to leave Jarvis downstairs, giving a ton of information, but keep in mind that the balcony where both England and Vandal are situated, it's C4 proof. You can't break through that floorway. The moment that they work into Aqua, though, well, that's where the real killing can begin. And Hyper's going to be there. The hard wall leading towards the side of Billiards will get blown open. And now Hyper's going to go to drone work. He's going to see Pojo. This is where Jarvis is going to be incredibly pivotal. He could use that C4 that he has to guarantee at least 1 or 2 kills, but the most important part is that he doesn't go too early. Final 45 seconds here as only Vertical and Nyx have been removed. The Maverick obviously being much bigger of an issue for the attackers than the Jaeger on defense.
You can see Mouse so very focused on this Aqua push, and as Jarvis's C4 misses, that's going to alleviate a lot of pressure they didn't even know they were confronted with. But Vandal missing 1 Candela, and the other hit by the ADS from Jaeger. A huge misplay there from the Ying, and that will make SK's hold so much easier as we come down to the last 20 seconds. Though Hyper gets his 2nd kill of the round onto Houghton, and Jarvis has been lit up substantially downstairs. The defuse plant is going down on the A-bomb right now, but Pojo will stop it with a blast from the shotgun, though it's not going to matter as Mouse collapses on the rest of the defenders from SK. Hello.
And that was, yeah, that was very quick for Mouse there as they were able to almost tie it up. The good thing, if you're an SK Gaming fan, is that they can't lose. So you noted that they picked up their tie against Obey. Well, they can at worst tie Mouse. But here's a bit of an alarming thing for SK. They played the 8th place team, and now they're playing, I believe Mouse is currently sitting in 5th, if I remember correctly, with 9 points. These are 2 matches that, statistically, SK should probably win more than they shouldn't.
Yeah.
They're leaving points on the table here. For Mouse, walking away with 1 point, it's going to get them a little closer to possibly the top 4. But still, this is a strength of schedule for SK where they should be able to walk away with possibly 6 points. They might only end up getting 2 at best. And that's worrisome for SK because when you hit that latter stretch, you're going to be playing the team sitting in 2nd, in 3rd, in 4th. You're going to be playing SSG again. You're going to be playing EG again. You're going to be playing Rogue again. The 3 teams that are, you know, nipping at your heels trying to take that land spot away from you.
They also did draw against Obey, which is the same thing as what you're talking about with Mouse. That's a match you're supposed to win.
Yeah, on paper, absolutely, that's a match that SK should have walked away with a victory from.
You know what? I'm looking at the record right now for Obey. This is kind of interesting. Obey has lost 4 times this season. Every single time was a 2-6. The score for each of their losses was 2-6 against them. They have had 3 draws, which of course are all 5-5, and then there's the one 6-4 in their favor. But yes, SK should have won against Obey, and they should win against Mouse as well. But if Mouse can manage to get the draw here, that is going to tie a weight to the ankles of SK as they start to lose their lead.
Yeah, you need to be able to win more than you don't. I mean, that's pretty standard stuff. But when you're going up against teams that are below you in the rankings, I mean, teams that are close to you, sure, but you need to be able to walk away with the win. Now, losing Hookah to Mouse, as they won it before, especially on their very first defense, obviously not great. But let's talk about how good Mouse has looked over the last 2 rounds. Now, of course, on the double bars, Mouse just ran right in. The one better look that they had was when they attacked Kitchen, but that they looked a lot stronger on. You know, being able to pinch Nyx, great coordination. Mouse stacking up 2 bodies on that balcony, then having Hyper come in through luggage. I don't think the position of Hyper was given to SK at all for the entire 3 minutes, and he was able to pick off the 2 kills, and that was probably the best round that we've seen out of Mouse coordination-wise, at least in the second half of this game, possibly throughout the entire game. They need some credit to be given to them for that, and walking away with a tie here for Mouse would be not great. Obviously, they wanted the win. It's out of reach at this time, but at least being able to salvage a point is going to be a victory at this current stage.
The biggest thing for me was, I believe it was Mint playing Pulse downstairs underneath
Jarvis.
Jarvis, thank you. Jarvis playing downstairs underneath the aquarium in the south lobby. He was detecting 3 people, and it didn't seem like Hyper on the IQ was actually aware of that. He could have whipped out his gadget at any moment and called it out for his team, but he just didn't. No, whatever the case, though, whether they knew it or not, they skirted around that C4 for a solid minute, keeping Jarvis distracted all the while. And he was making calls. He was giving information to his team, and that's great. But when the moment finally came, he missed a C4. And it would have been nice maybe for him to just hold on to that C4 before the defuse plant actually started coming out, or when the defuse plant actually started coming out, rather, so that he could deny it and allow for a lot more relaxation for his team. For example, Pojo Man, he had to push. He was forced to push onto the bomb with his shotgun to deny the initial plant, because if he hadn't, then, I mean, it would have been a post-plant scenario, and that's just so much worse. So I think a misuse of utility there for SK is also to blame for that round.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, losing Nyx early on and then having the play inside of Hookah, you didn't have a possible long-range engager in there. You had the Ella of Mint playing in there, and of course, trying to take any fight that is beyond a very small distance with Ella is a bit foolhardy. Pojo had to try to cover the rotate that was in the wall of Aqua, while also trying to take care of the planter going down. And having the smoke basically sitting inside of Pink made it very hard for him to cover both of those ankles. You know, maybe substitute Mint for Pojo and you put Pojo inside of Hookah. He's in a much better spot, being able to throw out those toxic babes on both the wall inside of Aquarium and then also get the planter down. He did stop the planter, but it just came down to a 1v3 that was very unwinnable for Mint. He was caught when he exited Hookah onto the Cool Vibe stairs. So Mouse able to bounce back, and we're just waiting to get a call from the admin and see exactly what's going to happen for this 10th and what will assuredly be our final round between these 2 teams, because there is, of course, no overtime. We can settle in a draw quite easily here.
I would not be surprised to see a draw. Mouse might be able to use the momentum they just got from that previous round to just push this into a 5-5. But we talked about it earlier, and I'll reiterate, SK really need this win. As much as Mouse needs the win as well, they can't get it. It's not possible. They're fighting right now just for that one little point. All that said, though, we have a break, so we'll be back shortly with the conclusion of this match.
Stylish on the outside, savage on the inside. Legion by Lenovo.
Welcome back, everybody, to our final round between Mouse and SK Gaming. It currently sits at 5-4 in favor of SK on Coastline. This is guaranteed to be our final round. We'll load into the game in just a moment, and we'll get this match underway.
Will we? Yes, we will. All right, so we should be loading in SK on defense, Mouse on attack. As was stated, the very last possible round here. Mouse are fighting for a draw. SK really need this win. They have a tenuous hold on that second place spot. They need to solidify it a little bit more with some points. Also, if they do manage to get this, they will propel themselves, if I'm not mistaken, back into that first place position. So that is, of course, what they really want to happen here. Now, there's been a break for both teams, so both teams have, of course, been allowed to think about how they want to address this final round. You can see SK are going to choose to go back to the hookah and to try and hold themselves out here one more time. They were unsuccessful last time they went to hookah billiards. It was a nice attack from Mouse and just the round prior. But this time you could see the setup from SK is specifically designed to address how Mouse attacked. Most notably those holes being placed by the A bomb, so the default plant spot for Mouse is no longer accessible.
5 seconds to go.
And Aquarium push is also going to be made a lot more difficult by the addition of a lot of barbed wire, and I'm sure Nyx is unlikely to push out of his position behind the small bar this time. He also has 2 ADSs just in case he starts getting pressured by those flashbangs and grenades, so SK has really accounted for how Mouse tried to attack this last round, and they're directly trying to counterplay it. Now there is some very aggressive play from Vandal. That very narrowly was not a kill onto Jarvis. You can see he's now on 25 HP, so that's not a kill, sure, but also very early and easy pressure applied from Mouse.
Yeah, and now Vandal is going to have to push off towards the ruins. Like you said, Jarvis getting lit up quite substantially. And unable to get that early lead-off kill. Hyper is going to get droned in now from Beastly, that little Twitch drone, which has most recently gotten a bit of a nerf to its sound in the sense that it is now louder than it used to be, but still quite quiet and sometimes hard to hear it over the talk of team comms. Hyper is joined at his side by the able hands of Vertical, and Capitao being able to possibly do some entry work alongside Hyper, who will now go towards Luggage, the powerful position that he was in before, in which he found Nyx playing behind the bar. And there you have it, Nyx inside of Aqua, trying to see if he's going to get droned out, but it doesn't appear that there's any intel on him whatsoever. Hyper just holding that very tight angle around the doorway. But there you have it, Jarvis is now going to get pushed from below as some Candelas go off, but Vandal unable to get Jarvis as Mint is there to watch, helping his teammate. This is a position where now Hyper could possibly push up onto Nyx, but if Nyx is able to stop this push, and he's going to get doubled up on, this could swing in SK's favor very fast.
Love the teamwork here from SK downstairs on the south, able to hold on to that lobby. Nyx now the one in the pressure position. He's being supported by Pojo, who is using those smokes quite aggressively with still so much time on the clock. He might want to save 1 or 2, but he's only got the single one left. Nyx, though, unlike in the previous round, has decided to stay very passive before immediately falling back as soon as those flashbangs come out his way. The right call from Nyx, to be sure.
Yeah, and he's going to walk away, as you said, with his life. He's going to play in the position in pink where Pojo was previously. Speak of Pojo, he'll be punished by Hyper. Here come the Capitals from Vertical. Now Beastly will find Jarvis, and Nyx will have to get into the action, but Hyper will pick up his second kill. From below, Mint will just eviscerate Beastly. Some solid tracking here, and now Houghton from above will just run right into the Capitao. It's all up to Nyx. Can he light up the Capitao himself? No, Mint is going to get down towards Cool Vibe stairs, and in a 1v3 with Diffuser down, this is going to be tough. On his back is Vertical holding the para on an angle in which Mint will not be able to cross. Flashbang will sail over him, and as he pops up, the debris from the broken vase will obscure his sight. England will be there to clean it up and send us to a tie. Looked like it was going to be locked out from SK there as they traded the lead back and forth in the first half, but 1 point apiece for both teams. It's pretty good for Mouse, but for SK, as we mentioned before, leaving points on the table against both Obey and now Mouse, they will at least, with that point, tie EG atop the standings and actually retake first place because they do have the tiebreaker against EG,
right.
But they're going to have Space Station right behind them as well as